Good morning and welcome to Monday. I'm Joe Jakeman, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and I all hope you had a fantastic weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I hope you treated her right. Maybe, took her out to eat or maybe did some of her chores. My wife, we did that, not the chores. No. That would actually be helpful. If I could not imagine me and my 18-year-old trying to do what my wife does. It would just be a disaster. But my mom, she's going to be in town today. It's going to be a really busy week here for me. My mom and my oldest are flying in today. My youngest is graduating high school on Thursday, and then I'm jumping on a plane on Sunday, and we'll be in Colorado next week. So, yeah, got a lot going on, and I know everybody, it's getting to be that time. Any of you that have kids graduating from high school or graduated from college, congratulations. That's a big accomplishment, especially this year, really, with everything that's gone on and all the craziness. And I just hope someday we get, I can't even say normal, right? We're it's going to, whatever the normal is going to be, it will definitely be a new normal. And I hope that, it's just my hope, that some of this craziness and this, all these forced vaccines and all these other ridiculous things that are going on out there, the double, triple mask, and now I heard they want to make mask wearing seasonal now. Yeah, so hey, we'll just wear it apparently like half the year. I don't know. It's every day is something different. So hang in there. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Our website at allamericangold.com, and the physical delivery of gold and silver. It is what we do. We do it better than anybody out there. Another up day in the gold and silver markets. Gold's up 10. Silver's up 10. So there you go, up 10 cents anyway. Silver probably needs to be up like $10. But don't worry, it will get there as the pipeline terrorist attack. Well, I don't know if it was a terrorist attack. It was more of a ransomware attack. We'll talk about that. We'll also do picture $50,000 worth of lumber. $50,000 worth of lumber. I will tell you what $50,000 worth of lumber would get you last year, and I will tell you what it'll get you this year. And again, I don't know, but I'm just saying this is what they're telling us. And then also get ready for the striking of restaurants to occur again. McDonald's now getting targeted. They want, and again, they're targeting, I want to say $15, not enough. Chipotle today came out and said, that's it. We can't get people to work. We're going to raise all the wages. And again, when this happens, which is what's going to happen, this isn't a transitory thing. Inflation is here. It's much worse than we think. And then you take things like what happened with this gas pipeline, which things like this happen, right? We look at what happened in Texas, right? When it got cold and all the power and all the stuff that occurred there, right? You think about, we get hurricanes and we get blizzards and pipelines have issues and all these things, all the ransomware attacks, these things happen. But now, when these things happen, you really get to see how bad it is, right? We don't have enough truck drivers, so the logic of being able to truck enough gasoline to the East Coast isn't really feasible. We haven't heard anything from the pipeline. That's what scares me. I don't know. If this thing was going to open tomorrow, you would think that the company would be saying it's going to. I don't know what it'll look like if there is no resolution to it. But if we go into this weekend and it's still not fixed, remember I warned you about this summer that there's going to be places where you weren't going to be able to get any gas because there's just not enough people willing to work for what they want to pay. I guess we're going to find out what that looks like a lot sooner. So hold on to your hats. If it's starting to stress you out, go to 1360KHNC and hit the shopping cart button. Get your CBD products because it'll help you be a little more calm. Or in my case, right, maybe your joints are bothering you. Maybe you want to look younger. We got all kinds of products out there. I've told you over and over and over and over again. The best way to support this, the message at 1360 and have people, we had David Knight, and I know David Knight was talking to everybody about supporting the advertisers before he left the airwaves there today. And I got to say this, a lot of new advertisers coming. We're really, really excited over the next couple of weeks. You're going to hear a lot more new advertisers. Make sure you support them. Make sure you get your CBD from us. It is really making a huge difference, and I know all of you are seeing it. When we get back, we're going to dive into what exactly happened at this pipeline. 800-951-0592. And again, like I said, all these little things that always happen now make everything else that much worse. And we're going to see it. In case you didn't know, Colonial Pipeline. They're really simply put, just think about a massive pipeline that goes from the Gulf Coast of Texas, goes through Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina, Virginia, New York, right, New Jersey. I mean, just picture that path. It delivers 2.5 million barrels a day of gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. So you essentially, right, that's our transportation. 2.5 million barrels a day. It was hit by a cyber attack, which when you think about these attacks, and these ransomware type attacks, right? And we've seen these, we've heard about these, right? And it's usually always the same thing, right? Somebody had an old computer and didn't run the updates. It usually boils down to that. And I'm thinking, here we've got this pipeline. That is, pretty important. Carrying 2.5 million barrels a day of fuel. And you're like, how's this possible? That shouldn't happen. But yet it does. And again, and I only bring that up because it's going to keep happening. Right? It's not like it's going away. And whether it's this time, it is a gasoline pipeline. And I guess here's the difference: is we've seen it a lot in small areas. Like maybe, you heard about this hospital got hit. Or maybe you saw it, this small water company got hit. Or maybe this smaller electrical company that was wasn't in a major city or something like that. We've seen those. But now we're starting to see them get bigger. And this is a major artery. Like, think about like the human body, right? What artery are we? This is like the jugular vein. I mean, this is big. It's one of the biggest, and it may actually be the biggest pipeline we have. And there's no way the government declared a state of emergency. And all is that, and I was wondering, okay, what does that mean? How does that help? And all as they could do is say, hey, because we're going to lift or enact a state of emergency because of what happened with Colonial. And it is, by the way, it is the biggest refined products pipeline in the United States. There's a few bigger pipelines that carry more, but that's just carrying actual crude oil. Like going in, my guess would be going into Oklahoma. The 2.5 million barrels a day, what they're saying is it will lift, this is what the state of the emergency is going to do. It's going to lift the limits on the transportation of fuel by road to help ease the fallout. So, in other words, hey, we're going to allow them to truck a lot more fuel because of it. Well, that sounds wonderful. Doesn't that sound fantastic? But the pipeline operators and the refined products companies out there have already said, hey, listen, we don't got enough truck drivers now to deliver the fuel where they're supposed to. So now how are we going to take and make that happen? So, again, it's going to cause this daisy chain effect. We'll see. And, again, the only thing that concerns me here, I don't know how big of a deal this is. This could be tomorrow. This could be a nothing. Right? If Colonial comes out today and says, hey, everything's back up, problem solved. Okay. Nothing to worry about. Crisis averted. But we haven't heard anything from them. Now, I don't even know that they've released a press statement. Which kind of leads me to believe this thing's not getting fixed anytime soon. Which also leads me to believe, we put the state of emergency in last night. And I got to believe that they were talking to Colonial and saying, hey, how long is this going to take? And based on the answer that Colonial gave, right, which was, we don't know. I'll just put it this way. 17 states are affected by the state of emergency. And again, I've listed most of them. Throw Tennessee in there. Philadelphia or Pennsylvania's in there. Delaware, Maryland, New York, New Jersey. These are all the states. I mean, it's a lot of people. If it's not fixed in the next 48 hours, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a big problem. Because at that point, I don't know. I mean, could you imagine the Atlanta airport as an example? Saying, hey, we can't fly because we don't have any jet fuel. I mean, obviously, I think they would try to keep that open. I just don't know. Do we even have enough truck drivers to do anything with? It's going to be awfully, awfully interesting. And of course, and then you start thinking about the cost, right? What's it going to cost in gasoline? I would imagine there's going to be all-out bidding wars for gasoline and all of those things. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but be prepared for it. Because like I said, it's just weird that they haven't said anything. Like you would think they'd be out, hey, you know what? We know what happened. And by, Tuesday noon, we'll have the thing up and running. I don't know. Just be ready. Lumber. By the way, lumber up again today. It just doesn't stop. Lumber prices, which have more than tripled, I think they've now quadrupled, by the way. The there was a company called the Visual Capitalist. Okay. There's a research company. They started to dig into lumber. And they wanted to know how many new single-family homes, $50,000 in lumber, can build today versus the same period in 2020. I was like, oh, that seems like a pretty good idea. How much does it, and I don't know. I don't know anything about anything. I mean, I would have assumed you needed $50,000 worth of lumber to build one house. That would have been wrong. Here's the parameters that they used. On lumber, 6.3 board feet per square foot. And they said this new home was 2,301 square feet. So 2,300 square foot home, which in their estimation, you would need 14,496 board feet of lumber to make a 2,300 square foot home. Here's what they found out. $50,000 in lumber in 2015. So now that's going back, 6 years. That would build 14.74 new single-family homes. So just under 15 homes 6 years ago. By April of last year, that number had fallen to 10.5 homes. Fast forward to today. The number is now 2 homes. So just put that into perspective that, and again, according to these guys, and I'm going to trust that their math is somewhat good, $50,000 could build you almost 15 homes in 2015. It'll now build you 2, which is just, astronomical when you start to think about it. Here's the funny thing. Last year, it was still building you 10. Matter of fact, over 10. Not a lot, but just over 10. And now it's down to 2. So when you do math, it's pretty simple to understand what we're facing here, and it does. Lumber's just another example. And how did we get here? Well, I explained it to you last week. Right? Think about the Schmuckatelli family from Arizona. Remember I made them up. They're always my fictitious go-to, Schmuckatelli. Right? They've got, and I say they're married. They don't have to be married. They're living together. And they got 2 kids. Right now, they're getting the equivalent of $75,000 a year for not working. And come June, that number jumps to $80,000. If they could have lived in New York or California, it would have been $100,000. And so now we're starting to see all this. There's a bunch of car dealerships along Frank Lloyd Wright here in town. It's near where I live. The Cadillac dealership. Wow. I'd hate to work there. There were no vehicles. And I mean, so let's just say this lot holds, and I don't know, 300 cars. There's maybe 70. There was twice as many empty spaces as there was, spaces that had a car in it. The best one, I think it was either Honda or Nissan, but it was all cars. Right? Trucks, SUVs, nothing. It's amazing. And all of this does is drive prices. Now we're getting retailer, right? Chipotle today. Hey, we're paying, we don't care. Here, it's $15 an hour for everybody. It's not going to be enough. McDonald's says that they're expecting strikes in 19 cities across the country because they want everywhere to be 15. And it's going there. And this is the problem. Here's what happens. All right, they pay 15. Now we pay 15, and Walmart pays 15. Costco starts paying 18. Right next thing you know, Target pays 18. Right, then Walmart's got to pay 18, and then McDonald's got to pay 18, and Chipotle's got to pay 18. Then they got to pay 20. How about 25, 30, 35, 40? You see how it goes. Patriot Radio News Hour. 800-951-0590. So here's what we're watching. It's simple. We saw gold pull back towards the end of last year. And that lasted till about, March of this year. Because the central bank was trying to deceive us into believing, first there was going to be no inflation. Remember, that was the lie they were telling us in October, November, December. No, there's not even going to be inflation. And then slowly it's going to be transitory inflation. And all of a sudden, gold kind of stopped going down. It would try to rally, but then they'd come out, oh no, but remember, it's just transitory, just temporary. And again, kind of like the boy that cried wolf. People believed him for a little while. But now, you're right, no one believes him at all anymore. And all of a sudden, gold's here right on the precipice of breaking back out again. But how much is it going to take? Because now what I see is they're trying to convince all the rest of us that $15 an hour is going to make it happen. So, let's see. Will $15 an hour get people off the couch and back to work? So I chose Arizona. Obviously, I live here in Arizona, right? We got an office in Arizona. We got an office in Colorado. But Arizona was a really good state to pick because we're at the lower end of unemployment pay. When you lose your job here in Arizona, we don't pay you real well. And again, you know what? It stands to reason. We've got a really good economy here. Right? By and large, you should be able to find another job. Not all the time. Right? Depends on what your job was, right? If a robot took your job, well, then maybe you're going to have a hard time. But we pay less than most. So remember, we did the math together. And it was essentially a family with two people working that are no longer working. I will say their husband and wife with two kids. $75,000. And I'm just like, okay, well, if you work 40 hours a week, 52 hours, Right? That's 2,080 hours of work. If you're getting full-time work, right? That's kind of, are you really making? Are you really going to go back and get 40 hours? Well, let's just say that you are. That works out to $36 an hour. Now, you got to be fair. You got to divide that by 2. You got 2 people, So they'd have to be making about $18 an hour. So, see, already 15 doesn't get it done, even in Arizona. And here's the problem. Come next month, that number goes up because they got those 2 kids. And remember now, we used to give you a child tax credit. Maybe, hey, we'll take $3,000 off of your taxes for your kid. Well, now we've decided we need to send you a check. $300 we're going to send you for every kid over the age of 6. If they're under 6, they send you even more. That works out to just under, that brings the new total to about $82,000, which really puts pay to get them off the couch at $20 an hour. So even if we go to 15's not going to work. It's not going to get it done. And again, this is where the transitory loses it. Because you could say, and all of us will argue this, and I think all of us will agree, lumber can't stay this high forever, can it? I hope not. But remember, as my buddies tell me, remember I told you about my buddy with the case of chicken wings. They were $88. Heck, they were $88 like 90 days ago. They're $160. And he's saying, hey, they're never going to go back to 88. Do I think they'll stay at 160? He goes, maybe for a while. He goes, maybe go a little higher. But I'm hoping, my hope is that whatever the new normal is going to be, maybe it'll be 120. It's never going to be 88 again. And this is the problem now. Now all of a sudden, now we got to start paying everybody more. And this is exactly what all the smart people in the room were worried about. Because remember now, this isn't just happening here. This isn't just a U.S. problem. Right? Because our central bankers told all the other central bankers, hey, let's all just do it together. Forget about the textbooks. Forget about what we learned. Forget about we already learned how many times the printing of money always leads to inflation. And we've just set right. We the money that got printed in the 70s, we've lapped that thing so many times. We've increased our money supply 75%. That's unheard of. And all these other countries did it too. Right? And then, you sit there and you think about, they're coming up from Central America because look how bad things are there. Dude, they're getting worse. Right? Now they won't even be able to afford to eat. What are they going to do? They're going to raise wages. Right? Which means they got to raise prices even more. We got to raise them even more. And already we're at, really to get Americans off the couch right now, in general, $20 an hour at a minimum. Really, when you go back just to make the same, you got to actually pay them a little more to motivate them to apply for a job. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Today's special U.S. $20 liberties at 21 1/4 We got 75-ish, heavy on the ish at 800-951-0592. These are pre-1933 U.S. minted gold. This is where you want to be. You can buy them, sell them, trade them, and you get to stay private. You don't have to give out your Social Security number. You don't have to worry about 1099s. You don't have to worry about any of those things. And remember, an ounce of gold for every year you've been alive, every year your wife's been alive, your kids have been alive, your grandkids have been alive. That's the amount, at least. I think that's the minimum. And we started, talking about what's it going to take. And it just makes sense. Think about housing. Housing's not flying. And what I mean by that is we're nowhere near all-time highs in home sales. Not even close. Matter of fact, this would be up until, go back to the 90s. We got a lot more people here now. But go back to the 90s. This would be a very, very average, probably a little below average year for sales. But yet prices are at all-time record highs, and there's no end in sight. Most people can't even afford to buy one. And you think about all these investments. We got the Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P, near or at all-time highs. And now we've got the Bitcoin and all the other coins, right? Throw them all together. They're all the same. And we've got Wall Street bets. Right. By the way, they're driving silver again. Wall Street bets. And you hear them tell, all this investment and advice you get. And then I get, people, if I could do better if I bought this or I bought that. Sure, maybe. My problem is I always buy high and sell low. No matter what I do, I can't figure it out. But let's just talk about gold for a minute. Investment demand in 2020. Can't imagine what it is today because it's so much bigger today in 2021. Took up 47% of the market. And I'm assuming this year investment demand is going to be over half of all the gold out there. Obviously, we know it's you diversify. I've never told you put all your money into gold ever. But be diversified. Right? I love it. Buy Bitcoin. Go ahead. Be careful. Right? 401k, absolutely. If the company's going to match a little bit, even better. But be diversified. We know that it hedges against the dollar. By the way, the dollar, 90.06. Just can't move, can it? Can't rally. Now it's looking to go back into the 80s again. It's not going to stop there. How about long-term returns? I've already told you. Go back to 1971. Nothing's done better. Well, I don't know about that. I haven't done it. But compared to stocks and bonds, gold's killed stocks and bonds since 71. It has. But don't take my word for it. You got to remember, a $20 gold piece, 1971 was $42. How about the run in the last 20 years? So let's take, 01 to 2020. Do you know that gold's average annual rate of return is 11.2%? Outperforming equities, bonds, and especially bonds, treasuries, especially treasuries. But that's just a fact. But when you turn on the cheerleading station, you would never hear that. They don't want you to know that. And again, it fluctuates. It hasn't been perfect, right? And I think this is why when I tell everybody, buying at all levels is always the best way. But 11% return, 11.2% return for the last 20 years, pretty good. And really, when you think about where we're at right now, does anybody out there think gold's overvalued? Anybody? And the answer really is no. Now, there's some people out there, not that many, but there are some, gold could go lower. That's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm asking. Does anybody out there think gold, throw silver in there for that matter, gold and silver are overvalued? The answer is going to be no. Again, there are people that think that it's going, it can go lower. And they're like, we're going to raise rate, we're going to do this. They've got reasons. But again, that's not the same question. Is it overvalued? Now ask people, do you think stock market's overvalued? Vast majority would tell you, yeah. You think housing's overvalued? There, that number, you're probably, in housing, probably 90% of the people out there think it's overvalued. This is what I'm saying. I think we're setting ourselves up for another big leg up in the gold market. If you just think about the examples I've just given, if $20 an hour is the minimum, and I don't even think that's enough. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back. Final segment coming up. Well, right on cue, Colonial has issued a statement saying that they have restored segments of the pipeline. And what I'm being told, these are very small segments. But they're saying that their goal is, I guess their goal is to substantially restore operational services by the end of the week. Let's hope that happens. But that is what they're saying right now. They have not asked the government for any cybersecurity help. That small segments of the pipeline have opened, and they're hoping to get a substantial portion of the pipeline up and running by the end of the week. It probably can't go any longer than that. So let's hope that happens. And if not, I don't know what happens then. But in any event, more stress on the system. More things that when we look about, thinking about what Chipotle did today, saying we're just going to 15 now, workers going to strike. 15 is not enough. It's not enough. Not if we're going to keep paying them this way. And the problem is the Democrats don't want it to stop. I mean, I think the solution would be easy. They just suspend the extra $300. But I think this is something where I'm hearing that the Democrats want to make this a permanent part of unemployment now. That they, from here on out, we didn't pay enough as it was, so here you go, problem solved. Remember, I told you they were never going to take it away. And this is the problem. And so there's only one solution to it. Okay, if you're not going to take it away, then pay's got to go up. 15 isn't enough. 20 is not enough. That was something, Eric always used to say, hey, by the time the workers demand $15 an hour, they really need 30. By the way, for those of you wanting to know, the average increase in gold price in years where inflation is 3% or more. 15.4%. So even better than what it's been returning. 800-951-0592, U.S. $20 gold pieces, $21.25. Tomorrow, we're going to talk silver tomorrow. I wish I had better news, but the demand for silver it's unrelenting. A lot of people trying, and people are getting dead, right, calling for bars. There are no bars out there. The only way we'll have bars is someone's got to sell them back to us. Most of the people that are making bars are making the 1,000-ounce delivery bars or the 100-ounce bars, and that's it. Because they're trying to meet needs for the COMEX and all of those things. They're not, 1-ounce bars, 10-ounce bars, forget about it. Any government hallmark silver, U.S. Silver Eagles. I mean, U.S. Silver Eagles now, they're in the low 40s. But we'll talk about that, what's happening with supply, what's happening with demand, what's happening with silver prices. We'll talk about that tomorrow. U.S. $20 gold, though, today, $21.25. Gold here, $18.40. And silver's at $27.52. The Dow's up, believe it or not. The S&P and the NASDAQ are down. I guess it just depends on what side of the gasoline fence you're on. Patriot Radio News Hour. God bless everybody. We'll be back tomorrow.